Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, powered by FanDuel Sportsbook.
All right, obviously a lot of things to talk about, especially Steelers. Thanks for tuning in for the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Give us a call tonight, 412-575-2600 on the Bordas and Bordas hotline. We'll start with the Steelers. On the other side, over at the 93.7, the fan cam, is Chris Mueller for tonight's show. Chris, nice to see you again. Nice to be back here with you on a Wednesday night, talking a little bit about the Steelers. And it seems like to me, Chris, and I don't know if you feel this way, they have so many people. I don't know how they win this game. I really don't.
I would say their best chance to win this game is predicated on having Justin Herbert have one of those off games. He's been a bit of an up-and-down player for the Chargers this year. I thought he was going to be a potential MVP in year two. He hasn't played to that level. We had Ryan Clark on the show today, who I think breaks down the NFL in ways that are digestible and for everybody, and advanced and also like very sense-making and almost simple at the same time. He just said the bottom line is, if you let this guy stand in the pocket in this game, Justin Herbert, and you let him make decisions without having to face like severe pressure from a pass rush, the arm talent is just so prodigious, so off the charts. The natural ability is so out there in outer space compared to what we're used to seeing from most quarterbacks that he's going to pick you apart and he's going to make huge plays. So the only avenue I see for the Steelers to win this game is really if they get a ton of pressure on Herbert and force him into some mistakes. But I'm with you. I think this is where the meat grinder part of the schedule starts. And I think right now with injuries, with illness, with the very distinct possibility that Ben doesn't play, they are at a massive disadvantage for this game, and I see a path to victory being very hard, if not impossible.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about two negative tests for Ben Roethlisberger. So on defense, no Minkah Fitzpatrick, potentially no Watt, potentially no Joe Hayden. Neither practiced today. So you're looking at replacements of like Taco Charlton, Trey Norwood. I mean, it's just so far down the line right now. And then on offense, Mason Rudolph, you saw what he did. He looked like he was going to light the world on fire. And I had faith in him. I actually thought he was going to have a 300-yard game and a couple touchdowns, and the Steelers were going to easily win that game. And he couldn't do anything after that first drive. I just can't see this team. I think they're the better team, and they would have won this game if they were 100% healthy.
I don't know if the Steelers are the better team. Joey Bosa is unvaccinated, but he is a close contact, not an actual COVID somebody stricken with COVID that we know of yet, so he might still play in this game. If they have Joey Bosa and they have Derwin James and they have Justin Herbert, I don't know, man. I think the Chargers have plenty of talent, probably more than the Steelers. I had this marked before the season as a loss. As far as Mason Rudolph goes, I mean, I would sincerely hope, Richie, I mean, you talk to a lot of people down there. You're around the team more than I am. I would hope that watching him play in that game disabuse them of the notion that this man can be the quarterback of the future. He can't. I was very disheartened to hear Mike Tomlin more or less give him a pass and say, well, he put us in position to win the game. I hope that was Tomlin just in the sort of heat of the moment, or knowing that he might have to use Rudolph for this game, and he's only thinking 1 week at a time, saying, well, I've got to keep the guy's confidence built up. Mason Rudolph was terrible. The scripted plays worked pretty well thanks to that pass interference on the first drive. That scripted drive was nice and everything else. As soon as the script had to get abandoned because you got too far into the game, I mean, he just showed no ability to do really anything. I saw people blaming some of his receivers for not making some of these tougher catches on higher throws. Those are bad throws. These are wide open guys that he's not able to hit. It was just all around really disheartening. I just hope that it serves some purpose for their future, that they realize he's not the guy.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I was in that post-game room after the game when we asked him about Mason Rudolph, and he said he did what we expected him to do. What do you expect him to do, be bad? That's what I was kind of thinking in my mind. But no, he wasn't good. And I don't know what the Steelers do next year because, I mean, for me, I don't think Ben Roethlisberger comes back. I don't know if he wants to come back, and I don't know if the Steelers want him to come back. But what's out there? Now, I know there's that notion everyone thinks that maybe Aaron Rodgers will come here, but I don't think that. I think that's far-fetched. I don't think it'll happen. Maybe a guy, a free agent like Marcus Mariota, you have come here for a year or two to see what he can do, and you battle with Rudolph and Haskins. But, it's disheartening, too, to hear these stories about Haskins. If those two guys are battling out next year, and I don't know. Maybe it's just part of the Steelers' plan that they're going to go with one of these guys, and if they have a bad record, that maybe they'll be in the conversation for the quarterback the next year.
Yeah, the report Aditi Kinkhabwala of NFL Network told us on our show on Monday was really disheartening. I trust Aditi's reporting wholeheartedly and completely. And for her to say that Haskins was throwing lazy, poor passes in his warm-up, seemed to be distracted by his phone, and that Steelers coaches on the field were pointing out how bad some of these passes looked, that's real concerning for the future. Just makes me think that Dwayne Haskins doesn't realize that this is like the NFL equivalent of double secret probation, and he's got to be on his absolute best behavior. You mentioned Marcus Mariota. Why do the Steelers have to aim lower than Aaron Rodgers? How about Russell Wilson? He might not be happy in Seattle. They still might end up missing the playoffs and having a really bad year. He might be motivated to get out of there. You give me Russell. If you gave me these two choices, believe it or not, Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, I would take Russell Wilson if I could trade for one of those two guys. You're getting way more in the way of years probably out of that guy, and I think they're two of the 5 best players at the position in the NFL still.
I agree with you. I'd be willing to give up a lot for Russell Wilson. I just think with Aaron Rodgers' age, I don't want to give up a ton. I wouldn't want to give up, a couple first-round picks. How many more years? And we see drop-offs of quarterbacks when they get to their late 30s. I mean, at some point, Aaron Rodgers is going to have that drop-off. I mean, maybe not Tom Brady, but
yeah, at some point. But he still doesn't look like. I mean, at 30, what is he? 37, or he might have just turned 38, or I think he's about to. Rodgers doesn't show when you watch him on TV. He looks like a guy that's still several years younger. Think about this too. He didn't really play for 3 years in the league. So if you're thinking about tread off the tire here a little bit, there should be a lot more remaining on it than there would be comparatively for, say, Ben Roethlisberger, who got hit a ton early in his career. I think Rodgers ages more gracefully than most, closer to Brady than to, say, Ben or Peyton Manning, guys who really had the wheels fall off late in their careers, especially Manning, obviously. So I'm maybe not as down on the idea of bringing Rodgers in as you are. I'm just saying if I'm comparing Rodgers or Wilson as a trade target, as far-fetched as that might seem, I'd be much more inclined to go with Wilson if I were the Steelers.
I know Pony said on the show he'd be willing to give up 3 first-round picks for Rodgers. I think that's way too much.
No, three would be too many for me. 3 is what I would consider giving up for Russell Wilson, but even then, it's 3 firsts, and for a guy who's in his 30s. Like Deshaun Watson to me is radioactive. I want him nowhere near this team.
Yeah.
He's the guy who's the combination of age and skill set where you would consider giving up 3. In a vacuum, but obviously his situation can't be looked at, and nor should it be in a vacuum. But 2 firsts, maybe a player if you have to do it for Russell Wilson. Who says no? Certainly not Chris Mueller.
I think I'm on board with that. All right, I'm on board with taking a break. We're up against it right now. 412-575-2600. Back in a couple minutes.